can do anything, right, Barbie? This early 1984 slogan invited girls through play to imagine a future of powerful and diverse professional prospects. When Barbie creator Ruth Handler first envisioned Barbie, she wanted a toy that showed girls they had choices beyond mother. The truth about the patriarchy we all live with and suffer under is that it tries to limit all of our choices, not just girls, but all of us. Almost 40 years later, the question continues to hang in the air for those who identify as girls. We can do anything, right? Now, everyone who graduates with a master's in divinity must take courses on exegesis, which is the process of careful analytical study of biblical passages undertaken in order to gain useful interpretations of those passages. This is the root of most sermons you'll find. I soon realized in seminary, exegesis need not be limited to biblical texts. We can exegete anything. This is one of the wondrous gifts of Unitarian Universalism. What really sets us apart from most other faith traditions, we can exegete the Barbie movie. So let us begin. As I watched the opening scene, cleverly referencing Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, and that opening scene, The Dawn of Man, I realized this film was shaping up to offer commentary on just precisely how patriarchy colonizes the imagination of children. The scene reveals a sparse, rocky landscape where girls are relegated to feeding and burping baby dolls and holding tea parties, until a great, powerful monolith, soon revealed as stereotypical Barbie, appears before them, and the little girls quickly get to smashing their dolls, reminding viewers of the recent slogan as manifesto, "Smash the Patriarchy." With this opening montage, we can see how children's play is ground zero for inculcation into the patriarchy. Children's play has long been colonized by boys who had little options beyond G.I. Joe, and girls who had few options beyond the Tiny Tears doll or Chatty Cathy doll or Thumbelina doll. Did anybody have any of those? So there's the first frontier of indoctrination into patriarchy. Boys will play military and war, and girls will play mother. The film gives Barbie a whole lot of credit for representing a feminist ideology, and probably more credit than she deserves. But the filmmaker, Greta Gerwig, who was raised in a Unitarian Universalist congregation in California and whose parents still attend that congregation, she playfully invites us into Barbie's world, a place where women's relationships rule the land, where women's happiness and freedom is at the center of governance, and especially where women are freely celebrating and loving each other. Each night is girls' night, ending in a dance party, and Barbie's dream house is filled with everything she wants and needs. The film proudly features a transgender Barbie as one of the main characters, a Barbie in a wheelchair, a black female president of Barbie's world, and a host of secondary and less consequential characters, the Kens. The film was a smash hit this summer, earning the position of the highest-grossing film in Warner Brothers history. During a time when reproductive choice is under attack more than ever, during a time when female-bodied persons' freedom is becoming more and more limited all the time. It was interesting to see this film sweep the nation as mothers and daughters posed together in pink, as girlfriends found solace in the maximalist colors and shapes, what the New York Times called bubblegum mid-century modern motif of Barbie's world. As the larger world grew harsher towards female-bodied people, women and girls, and people who birth children, it became clear we need somewhere to bring our broken hearts. As the walls close in and the clock is turned back not just an hour, but decades. As a spiritual practice, we must spend some time inside the world we dream of. Otherwise, in this era of rising homelessness, we will never know the way it looks and feels to have everyone have not just their own home, but their own dream home. Otherwise, we may never see a Black female-identified president in our lifetime. How can we ever be it if we cannot dream it? There are forces at work today in our political system who want to limit the scope of our dreams. Toni Morrison spoke to this dynamic when she wrote, "This is precisely the time when artists need to go to work. There is no time for despair, no time for self-pity, no need for silence, and no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal," Toni Morrison said. And what are the political and social features of this dream Gerwig and her writing partner wrote so fearlessly? Matriarchies are not actually a mirror or an inverted form of patriarchies. They are rather, a matriarchy emphasizes maternal meanings, where maternal symbols are linked to social practices influencing the lives of all sexes, and where women play a central role in these practices. According to one anthropologist, the late journalist and Unitarian Universalist Margot Adler wrote, literally, matriarchy means government by mothers, or more broadly, government and power in the hands of women. Whereas patriarchy is a social system in which positions of dominance and privilege are primarily held by men. It is upheld by a patriarchal ideology that acts to explain and justify itself by attributing it to inherent natural differences between men and women, or divine commandments, or other fixed structures. In this world, patriarchy is so powerfully upheld, our imaginations so intensely infiltrated, it can be difficult to find any real-world examples of matriarchal societies. There are merely 6 examples of matriarchal structured societies around the globe today, and they are all found in indigenous cultures of people who have not been colonized by Western or other imperialist powers. Now, I long to both learn about these societies and also completely surround them with a hedge of protection from anyone studying them or anyone who might misunderstand or infiltrate them, as happened in Barbie's world. There is hope in our own culture, however. In this way, I want to assure you the kids are all right. See, many of our kids, adolescents, understand that to be gender fluid or gender liberated is an act of self-love and liberation if one is to be forced to be raised within a patriarchal society. And I am hopeful that this is where we all will be led. Now, as a child, I was never drawn to stereotypical Barbie, I admit, the blonde beach babe whose ridiculous measurements and foot shape would not allow her to stand, walk, dance, or function at all. Barbie didn't interest me then, and only interests me now as this container of dreams. It's the dream world that calls to me, not the beauty standards, but the Virginia Woolf nature of the Barbie dream home, a room of one's own. When I rewatched the film this week, now set against the backdrop of war in the Middle East, I felt even more clear that we must take responsibility for and work to protect the dreams of children, not just here, but everywhere. This week, I don't know how many of you saw, the New York Times published a video in their opinions section that focused on the dreams of children. They wrote, "We often measure the tragedy of war in the suffering of children, but rarely do we hear from them. 2 years ago, filmmakers asked children in Gaza, where nearly half the population is under 18, a seemingly simple question. What is your dream?" The video they published on the New York Times website reveals the children's answers, which, in the light of the violence that has embroiled the region, are all the more poignant. One girl smiles slightly with a faraway look, telling the interviewer, "I want to be an engineer. That is my dream. Because whenever the occupation bombs our houses, I could go and rebuild them." Another young girl stares into the camera and says, "My dream is for them to stop bombing our houses and towers and to stop scaring us, sending us out of our homes." She says, "I hope to God we all stay alive." If you have not seen this video, these Gazan children's dreams juxtaposed against the footage of their current nightmare, it is worth your time. War, occupation, repression of rights, fascism reshapes the dreams of children until their dream becomes merely survival. And we know Israeli children are living also in fear with dreams of safety and freedom as well. This is why we need artists who can write us into another world. This is why we need communities that challenge and propel our dreams to more expansive places, that challenge us to dream more boldly. This is why this congregation matters so much, why we must sustain, support, and fight for places that remind us of our dreams and will nurture them with us. That we need not settle for the world that is. That there is more love somewhere. That somewhere may only exist in the dream world. And we must describe that world to one another through stories, through movies, through books, through play. Because the patriarchy wears us all down. We are weary. Amen? The actress America Ferrera carries the apex of the Barbie film, playing an overwhelmed mom who is overlooked by her boss, who is estranged from her teenage daughter. She speaks so poignantly of the way patriarchy wears you down. She says, "It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful," she says, looking out at the women. "You are so smart. And it kills me that you don't think you're good enough." Like we have to always be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. You have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but you also have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but don't talk about your children so damn much. You have to be a career woman, but always be looking out for other people. But always stand out, and always be grateful. But never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that, but also always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us. And if all of that is just true for a doll, just representing women, then I don't even know. When I heard that monologue, or when I saw that on the screen, I felt like a knot that was untying. I felt myself loosen by seeing our own story of striving and weariness being reflected back, I guess my own story being reflected back to me. Somebody out there understands what it's like to try and be a full, multidimensional human being under this system of patriarchy that would flatten us all. Men who want to live differently and see themselves differently, they have their own exhausting journey. The exhaustion we feel is by design. The system would have us too tired even to dream. Why can't we dream about a city, a state, a nation that has given the police department to the grandmas? Why can't we dream that? Recently, I noticed a person's social media avatar was an image of themselves wearing a shirt that said, "Resist." You've seen this, maybe hats, shirts, resist. Now, in this era we are living through, one of rising fascism and various civil rights under attack, a time of war across the world, well, we should resist. We should resist that which offends our spirit and our moral compass. But we must be equally clear, my friends, about what we embrace. Are you with me? What we embrace. See, perhaps that's what my t-shirt would say. Perhaps that's what my tattoo would say. Embrace. Embrace the matriarchy. Embrace mutual aid. Embrace peacemaking. Embrace reproductive choice. Embrace with consent when you embrace. Embrace all genders on the gender spectrum as holy. Embrace the rights of Indigenous people and First Nations, not just this month, but every month. Embrace our Jewish friends who are hurting and afraid, suffering from generational trauma of Holocaust and displacement, and embrace our Muslim friends and neighbors who are scared for their religious freedom and their right to exist safely. And embrace yourself when the world becomes overwhelming. Practice sacred rest. Embrace a fellow man, men, and make him feel loved and secure. Embrace a fellow queer person and lift them up. Embrace this life that holds so much pain and beauty, that brings moments of deep doubt and deep salvation. Embrace it all as a precious gift, rattling us awake to the next right thing we need to do to help more people feel embraced by a love that is greater than us, that holds us and does not let us go. It's the embrace of our grandmas who might one day get to run the police department. If we can dream it, if we can share the dream with abandon and dream boldly, if we can invite each other into the dream until we can all see ourselves in it, in this better world, in a world where everyone has their dream home, a world where everyone is enough and enough. And we affirm each other's power and lift one another up. How can we be it if we cannot dream it?